Good evening. Your time now is 5:52. I'm Jeannette Reyes.
And I'm Mona Kosarabdi, and this is Off the Record.
Not for real. This is Off the Record.
Are there bitter people out there? Bitter
With
men
me?
that, yes.
There could be. We're going to erase this whole episode.
Yeah, this ain't gonna air. I would not use time as a marker of a good friendship. That is a messed up thing.
Yeah.
Like certain cultures, certain family dynamics do not serve you and are actually mentally causing you harm.
I'm not going to compliment you on things that you're supposed to do. You don't get a cookie or whatever,
That's literally my issue.
It's good to have a friend that also has similar financial goals where it's just like, listen, we don't have to buy everything in excess.
Because I was gonna say one big thing that I encourage everyone to do is.
Hey y'all, welcome to Off the Record. This week we have a solo episode on tap for you, and it's really just, I guess, reflective of the
Yes.
conversations that Mona and I have had in private in our group chats for a few months now. And it's basically talking about the things we would have done differently in our younger years. So advice that we would give our younger selves.
Yes. And younger, we mean in our 20s.
Yes.
As we were coming up. It's funny, I'm like, back in our 20s. But I think there is something to say. If we finish the decade, let's look back and give advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
To people who are in the trenches right now. Because I
Right.
would not go back to my 20s. I would not.
The 20s, it's like a year of paying your dues. It's building. You're kind of still figuring yourself out. It's a lot going on.
It is.
So if you're in that time, give yourself some grace because we all go through it. We are breaking this up into different categories, by the way. So relationship, career, friendship, family and community, one category, and then money and finances. And we'll go from there.
Oh, Lord. All right. So which category are we kicking off with?
So let's start off with, friendship, because I feel like in your 20s, a lot of you, a lot of people are single. You're mostly with your girlfriends, your guy friends. So what advice would you give younger Mona when it comes to friendship?
I would say pay attention to the people that are in your corner that you have a deep friendship with and invest in those people. Because I feel like in your 20s, or at least my 20s, you have a lot of going out friends and you have a lot of acquaintances. And we sometimes mistake them for real friends. And then they do things like move on or betray us or whatnot. But I think those ride or die friends that you have, keep them locked in. Because those are the people that you want to invite to your wedding and that your kids, will grow up together. I will also say, sorry. Now I'm like, actually, let me tell you, I would not use time as a marker of a good friendship. So like in my 20s, I'd be like, oh, I knew this person for like 10 years though. We've been friends for the last like 6 or 7. It doesn't matter because we met when I was 27, 28, something like that. And we're better friends than some people that I've known for a decade plus. And so time is not the only marker of a good friendship. It's, are these people really showing up with you? And check in every year.
Yeah.
Are we still on the same page? Because you grow apart from your friends. What about you? What advice would you give?
Those are good ones, especially time is not a marker of the quality of friendship. I would say for me, do a better job of keeping in touch with friends from like a previous season in terms of like I went to high school with this person or I worked in this market with this person. Like I went to 5 high schools. I moved around a lot. And then obviously in this business, you move around a lot. Yeah. I do a horrible job of keeping in touch, right? And so I'm like, man, if you flipped it, I could have really good friends all around the country. You know what I mean? And there's some really good people that, especially from my childhood, from some of my high schools, that I'm like, man, or especially if looking back, I saw their bids for like wanting to continue their friendship, and I just, you're in your 20s, you got a lot going on, and I wish I would have done a better job of that because they're with you during really special moments and memories, and it's nice to reminisce about that with them. Yeah. The second piece of advice I would give is make more of an effort to physically be there with friends, right? Like my girlfriend and I were talking. Best friend actually, and there were some things and it goes both ways, and I'm like, man, I wish I physically would have been there for you. Like it means a lot to just, hey, I'm flying in and I want to be here. Like we'll just kick it in your place and I just want to be here. And it's you don't have all the money in the world when you're in your 20s. You
sure don't.
But you have a little more time, right?
Yeah.
Like now that I have a husband and I got a kid and whatever, I had the luxury of time, and I think with a little bit of effort I could have physically been more present.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because what it makes me think of is so I was like born and raised in San Diego, left San Diego for the first time when I took my job in Lynchburg, Virginia. So it was like the first time that I was far away from home. And what's crazy is the people that I call my best friends, or I would say one particular person, she forgot about me so fast. And it was one of the saddest things because it was like she, you know, moved to a big city and is living this fabulous life. And I didn't need much. It wasn't like I was saying invite me to everything. It was just more about like, hey, you know, we were best friends through college. Like, can we still communicate? And then it would, you know, the phone calls got shorter, the text messages, and I still remember that. I still remember that.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to her about it, or do you plan on?
No. Surprisingly, I didn't. I should have. And that's one thing I kind of looking back regret, that I wasn't more open with friends of mine to be like, hey, and we were talking about this, like, hey, you hurt me. Or what's going on? I feel like, you know, you don't call me as much anymore or whatnot. But back then I used to feel like, oh, now you're a burden. Now you're crying about it. So instead, just like pick up on the signs and move on. Like, okay, you're going to move like that. I got you.
I can take a hint kind of thing. Huh.
But now I look back and I'm like, oh, no, you were hurt. Like,
Yeah.
And it is a messed up thing. Now, when I'm looking back at it, I'm like, that is a messed up thing.
Yeah.
Like, you just completely forget about your friend.
That, and I wonder what she would have said. Like, it's always interesting to hear the other side. It could have genuinely been like, oh, wow, no, this was kind of jacked up. Or who knows if there was another story. But one of the things I've learned, and you're really good at this, is maybe there's something you're missing, right? Like, is there, like, talk to them and see if there's something that you're misinterpreting, or that you're reading the wrong way, giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Have you had a moment where you thought someone was being rude or disrespectful and you cut them off and you look back and you're like, oh, maybe I moved too fast. Maybe this could have been easily cleared up?
It was a little more than that, but still the same takeaway. You and I were actually just talking about this yesterday. There is one friend, I think they lashed out on me and it had nothing to do with me. But it was like a series of kind of outbursts with me. And I think they were just going through a really, really tough season. And while the lashing out itself was a problem, I wish I would have had a little more grace and looked at the bigger picture. And I think you can change the relationship accordingly, right? Like I think when you're in your 20s or just when you're young, you tend to, you don't look at the nuances. It's either black or white. Either we're going to be really good friends or not at all. And I'm like, we probably could have just adjusted things a little bit if this is an ongoing issue, because I think the pros with her outweighed the cons. And I probably should have asked her, what do you need from me? Like, and just get right to it. Like, hey, is this, sometimes I'm like, you could actually ask, hey, are you lashing out? Like, is there something going on here? Like, it seems like, you know, there's been some challenges and I want to be able to support you. Is there something going on?
What stopped you from doing that?
Because the lashing out was so egregious.
She's like, ooh, yeah, there goes my cue.
Because I had brushed it off a couple of other times.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was just like, I can't keep on doing this. But I'm like, but what if you actually talked about it and talked about, like, what's the underlying issue here, as opposed to always specifically talking about the lashing out. So anyway, I think I would do a better job of getting to the core of a problem, not just looking at the symptoms of it.
Got it. And being a little bit more understanding.
And being a little more understanding and realizing that not everybody has to be a best friend. Not everybody has to be super close and you're kicking it all the time. There is a variety of types of friendships that you can have.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because that was going to be my next point, which is be friends with people that you don't think you would be friends with, right? Like, I feel like in your 20s, whether we want to admit it or not, we like our friends to match our aesthetic, right? And you want someone who kind of dresses like you, maybe even hell looks like you, right? And I know that people have their own reasoning for that. For example, if you're like, oh, I only want friends who look like me because they understand what my journey is like. But I would say, go out of your way to be friends with people that you think that you wouldn't have things in common with. Because I promise you, they may have really, really good qualities and they may be a really good friend, and you can find common ground. Yeah. And you should be friends with a diverse group of people, because you can't have this echo chamber. And also, you want to learn from your friends. And then, hell, later on in life, you don't know who is connected to who.
Right.
And it may be that friend that has another friend that can help you get your dream job, that can help you when you need a lawyer, who can help you when you need certain advice. And so that's where I say don't restrict yourself to just people who you're like, well, yeah, we look cute together.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And friends that challenge you, because sometimes when they live a totally different life, view things differently, they challenge your long held beliefs and perspectives and habits, and they just force you to view things differently. I think it's easy to befriend someone who thinks exactly like you, right? And like you said, like it just affirms whatever it is you believe. But it's like, well, maybe it's not that way. Maybe you can look at things differently. So I agree with you. Going a little bit out of your comfort zone. Heck, on that note, I don't know if it was, let me see. It wasn't until my 20s, and I still could have done a better job, that I didn't initiate friendships, right? Like for some reason, it was like I was a little more timid to initiate a friendship with just a girl. Like, hey, I love your outfit, like this, that, and the other. And like, there have been times literally where I tell Robert, oh my gosh, she seems so cool, I want to be her friend. He's like, why don't you go up to her? Like, it doesn't have to be
Robert encouraging you. He's like, babe, go. Go make a friend.
And he's great at that. Like, he's got a huge friend group, and it just starts off like that. Like, hey, I like his vibe. Like, yo, like, do you play ball or this, that, and the other? And I wish I would have done a better job, even in my 20s, to initiate friendships and reach out to girls. And girls are fairly easy. Like, you give them a compliment.
Easy. In the bathroom,
walls
at the club.
come down.
Yes. And you're just like, oh, we have so much in common.
And yeah, I wish I would have done more of that.
Surprisingly, I feel like I need to do that now. So I used to do it when I was younger because, like you said, it's so easy. You compliment someone, you're in the bathroom, everybody's taking pictures. And so it's easier. But then I feel like now when I see Jordan, my husband, he makes friends so easily. Like, we will, I don't know, be on vacation and meet a couple, and he's like, oh, I got their number. But why? Not when he went to a journalism conference with me and made a friend and then invited that friend and his girlfriend who I used to work with to an event. And I'm like, how are you getting me to hang out with my coworkers? Why are you this social? So I feel like now I do need to be a little bit more open to making faster friends.
Yeah. I have thought about that. Like, man, how cool. Envy is a strong word, but it's like kind of accurate. People who have a lot of friends, they're not all deep friendships and are all best friends, but they just have a large group of friends that also doubles as a network. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, that's where it's at. That's a
real thing.
It's a real thing. And it takes effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys would be surprised that Jeannette isn't as social as everyone thinks. I was very surprised. When I met you, I was like, oh, this girl got a million friends. She goes out all the time. She's very social. And then one day you were just like, that ain't true. It's not. I mean, you got your good group of friends and you're very, personable, but you're not an extrovert like people think.
No, I'm definitely an introvert. I have like social anxiety. The thought of going out, and that it's tough as like a content creator, so like an influencer, because so much of it is going out and connecting and hanging out with strangers that then become friends. And for me, like, I might have an anxiety attack. Like, I dreaded days before. And it's one of the qualities that I wish I could change, like just be naturally extroverted, because I think extroverts do have a benefit. Right? In this world, it almost like caters to extroverts. You know what I mean?
It seems like that, yeah.
It seems that way. But no, it takes a lot for me to go out, hang out, meet strangers, that type of thing. What would you say you're an ambivert or?
Now, before I used to be a
out here
full
in these streets.
Extrovert. Yeah, like I got energy from being around people, and I needed to be around people all the time. But it was hard because I feel like I grew up in a family of introverts. Like, my dad barely spoke to people. Like, he was just very like quiet all the time, more observant, I would say. My mom is kind of like you, where she comes out, like when she's in social settings, she's a social butterfly, but she ain't going out of her way to like go to big events all the time, to be super social, but she knows how to act when she's there. My sister's the same way, but me, I'm like, no, everybody, like, come over. I like having people around. Now I feel, it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in this weird like homebody phase, y'all.
She really is.
Like,
I'm like, both of us can't be like this. She was the one that got me out. But you made a good point about how like with introverts, going out isn't bad, especially when I'm with my people. But with introverts, you need to go recharge. With extroverts, that's what charges you. Like that's what energizes you. So with my husband, I'm just like, you ain't tired of going out? With me, like once he sees me go out, he knows I'm tapped out for the next few days. Like I need to recover. But yeah, let's make sure we keep the opposites attract.
I know. No, I want to go back to being a little bit more social. I think a lot of it too is just behavioral patterns. Like because I've been more busy staying home, you just want to like rest when you're home. So I feel like if I had less on my plate, then maybe I would be outside more.
And you know, we can make that happen. You can move things around to make it less on your.
This is the same girl that will call you 3 times as you're getting ready. Hey, so we're still like, you still want to go? And then you never say you don't want to go. She's just like, I can go either way. I can go either way. Like,
why are you reading me?
Sorry, okay. This was the advice.
That's true. That's true. But I'm going to be better. I'm going to get better.
Next category.
The next category. So we did friendship, right?
We did friendship.
Career. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Especially since we've pivoted from the careers that we dedicated our 20s to.
So 22-year-old Jeannette wants to be a journalist. What advice are you giving her? Run.
Aside
Run and don't look back, Simba.
I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome. I managed to hide it pretty well, but it was still a little limited. Like it was exhausting. That's what it was. So I still got the job done, but it was exhausting. And once I let go of that, which was when I came back to DC after working in Philly for 4.5 years, I was the morning anchor in DC. I had replaced a very, very, like she had left months before I got the job, but a very, very popular, beloved anchor. And it was huge shoes to fill, high expectations. Viewers were like, who
is this woman?
And so I didn't have time. Like literally it was like imposter syndrome. I don't have time. Like I had to go, be 10 toes down, be confident. And eventually I like embodied the person that I was pretending to be very shortly thereafter, because it was just like, I can't afford to be nervous and to mess up and to be in my head. And once I reached that, it was so liberating. And work was exciting and breaking news and like live interviews. And I'm like, man, this would have been so much more fun, for the past few years if I had let go of being so self-critical, of this imposter syndrome, feeling like I didn't belong and I was gonna be outed. Like no matter how many promotions I got, it was just like somebody's about to come in the room and be like, hey, you, Reyes.
Fraud.
Exactly. So that's what I would tell myself. What about you?
Oh, child.
Because you didn't struggle with imposter syndrome.
I didn't struggle with imposter syndrome, but I look back now and I do see the being highly critical, right? Like I wanted everything now. Everything has to happen now. And I look back and I realize like everything happened at the time it was supposed to, and everything ended up working out. So there was no reason to be making your life miserable in the interim, because you're just like, I don't know if that's gonna happen for me and if I'm gonna make it to network, for example. Like, so today you didn't work hard enough. You didn't, you messed up. And now that means you may not go to network because you're messing up. And so it was just kind of like making sure that I did. It's not even that. I didn't make sure I did more. It's like no matter what I did, there was always more that I could have done. So I would have just chilled out and been like.
Were you working a lot? Like, did other things suffer because of this? Or it was just mostly you didn't enjoy the ride, is what you're saying?
I didn't enjoy the ride. And I think I added unnecessary stress. Like the way I picture it is, instead of running in a straight line, I was like running in circles to get, to the finish line, and thinking that running in circles and the stress that I was adding meant I was being more productive. Because if I was calm and accomplishing everything that I was doing, it didn't feel like there was urgency, that it didn't feel like things were getting done.
Right.
So in order to feel like things were getting done, then I needed to add the stress.
I see what that totally makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So do you feel like you knew your worth? Like you knew I belong here? That was never compromised.
Yes. Because I could see it in the way that I moved. Like I would, for example, there were a lot of people that told me, if I told them my goals, like, hey, I want to do this. Like I wanted to make it to market 50 before, let me explain. So in news, there are 200 markets. The 200th being a small town in Texas, number 1 being New York. And I thought for my first job, I'm gonna get at least the top 50 markets. And everyone would keep coming up to me and say, well, you know, it doesn't really happen that way. And even if I pointed out people like, hey, so-and-so who's in Philly or so-and-so who's in San Diego, they are, you know, it's their first job and they've made it to the top 50. And they're like, yeah, but they're the exception, not the rule. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to be the rule. I want to be the exception. And so then if I wanted to anchor, I went into my boss's office and I was like, I want to anchor. Christmas, cool. So I feel like it was in the way that I moved that I knew that I had what it took and that I was going to speak up for it.
I love that. That's a big thing to have.
What about you?
It's so funny. I was not, how do I say it? Like the only times I went for a big job was either out of spite or because my back was against the wall. So like I remember when I was at the ABC station in DC, I really wanted the weekend anchor position. Just to actually fill in. I wasn't even asking to be the anchor. I just wanted reps. And the news director kept on putting everybody, but even like the weekend sports anchor was anchoring the news or filling in. And I got pissed off basically. And I applied to a job in Philly out of spite, just to use it as leverage. And I was like, actually, this is a really good job. And I didn't think I was going to get it.
Oh my God, I have to go.
Right? But it was also like, I felt like you're playing me. Like you're playing in my face, right? So it was the spite literally pushed me into a long distance marriage, a job in Philly that ended up being the job that was the catalyst for everything else, right? But had he not pissed me off, I wouldn't have gone for it. Or like, you know, for other situations, had my back not been up against the wall, I wouldn't have gone for the gig. But it was hardly ever. I was very fortunate to also have people who saw something in me and said, no, you'd be great for this. You need to go for it. So I'm really thankful for being easily pissed off and also having people who see me.
That's what I was laughing because I'm like, yo, spite is a motivator.
Listen, spite and fear.
Shoot.
You don't need nothing else. It's like I can manage my imposter syndrome. I'm pissed off.
Do not rely on either of those. There are healthier,
I don't recommend it.
Motivators, I promise you.
I don't recommend it because I will say real quick, once those go away, and they will go away eventually. It's like, well, what's propelling you now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's got to be something that's in you, that's within you, that's pushing you. But what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, again, and it kind of speaks to what you were talking about, is if you want those positions, speak up.
Oh yeah.
That is one thing that if I could back to the future in that car, just jump back and talk to myself, it is to speak up because nobody knows that you even want that position unless you say it. But also even more so, because I feel like I was doing that. I was going for positions, but it's like I'm talking every chance you get.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I would say become great friends with the boss. Like be that person that when you don't need anything pops into his office just to figure out, how are your kids? You know, they had a recital. Did it go well? And be that person because that's when, if they like you, you will go far.
That goes such a long way with my news directors. It wasn't a conscious thing. But you would hardly ever hear from me if it was like Jeannette didn't have any problems, any beef. And the times that she did, like, I have a solution. Like, here's the issue. Here's how I think we can resolve this. And they appreciated that. Because it was just like, just let me know what you need so we can kind of get this thing and keep it moving. Because for news directors or any boss, people are constantly coming to them with issues and problems and all of that. But if it wasn't me, the few times that I said, hey, I have this issue, it was just, you know, we're just talking, small talk about anything. You know what I mean? And it goes, there was one time, it was so funny. Another reporter, he was like super like entitled, and his phone broke, his work phone broke. And he went to the news director, he was really upset, like, I need a new phone, this, that, and the other. He was like throwing a fit. Ooh. My phone broke. And the news director found out about it. I was like, you know, it's still working, like it's fine. He's like, I'm gonna get you a new phone because this dude just walked in here, threw a fit. He ain't getting nothing. I'm gonna get. And I was just like, you know what? I mean, this isn't always the case, but it goes a long way to be like, yo, I'm gonna pick my battles. Other than that, I'm cool. I'm good. Yeah. You know. Any other piece of advice you would give yourself for career? I can't.
I
think that's the overarching theme for us.
I was gonna say I can't stress the speaking up for your position enough.
It's for family and community. What are some things that you would do differently? What would you tell young Mona?
What I would tell young Mona, I would say It's hard. It's hard because I feel like I already did this where, and I told you guys this before, where I would drop anything for my mom because you don't know how long, God willing, your parents are going to stay here for a very long time, but you don't know. And I think sometimes we prioritize our friends, we prioritize everyone else, and we expect that we're just going to have plenty more time to come. And so making time and being present during that time with your family is so important.
Yeah, same.
Even in your 20s. Like, I understand that you have so much going on. You're traveling, you're doing this. But if you can find the time to carve out and be fully present and do something, maybe you plan a trip. I know it's hard in your early 20s when you're making money, when you're not making great money. But it doesn't even have to be that. It just checking in on your family is so important.
I would agree. You spend so much of your 20s grinding. You know what I mean? You're already in this business. You're not getting the holidays off. I wish I would have been more intentional about spending time with family. It's weird when you're in your 30s, or I don't know if it happens at different stages for people, but suddenly age, not necessarily you personally, but like age, you start realizing, oh my gosh, like people, like the people I love and my elders and my aunts, they're getting old. Like, you know what I mean? And you start to realize they're not going to be here forever. And I wish I would have been more intentional about spending time with family. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be a big to-do, a big production, a huge, let's just wait till the family reunion. It takes forever to do it with my family because everybody, we need a strong type A personality in the family. Because organizing these family reunions is a task. So you keep on putting it off and then years go by and you're like, man, we haven't gotten together in forever. Yeah. So I would be much more intentional about that. I will say I've done a better job of it. Like anytime I go to the Dominican Republic, I get a big Airbnb, invite my aunts, my uncles, and it's just the whole family kicking it in the Airbnb.
Maybe you're the type A. You're the one that needed. Yeah. It's you.
I'm the person. Yeah, I need help. But I will say it has been so fulfilling, like especially with your older family, like when you're able to do things for them that they weren't able to do for themselves. And you're like, this is for me at least. This is the point of it. Yeah.
I'm going to take a little left because I was going to say one big thing that I encourage everyone to do is to check in with just the norms, your family norms that most likely are toxic.
Ooh.
I think sometimes we think things are just the way they are, but I think that certain cultures, certain family dynamics do not serve you and are actually mentally causing you harm.
Like what?
I would say, for example, I could just speak for collective communities, right? So like if you're in a collective community and you have to do things for your family. Sometimes it's to your detriment. You have to go out of your way. Where too much falls on you when you're trying to build a life and you're trying to do stuff. I think the way people talk to each other. I have a few family members that love to do the when I was there, you didn't do X, Y, and Z, so therefore now I'm going to cut you off or I'm going to start issues or there's no understanding. And so I feel like sometimes there's no room to tolerate passive-aggressive behavior like that. Obviously, people who put you down. Fortunately, I don't like directly haven't experienced that, but in families, that is a thing. And so setting boundaries with your family members. And I think going to therapy in your 20s, you really see like, oh, things that I just thought were commonplace really aren't, right? Yeah. Your aunt isn't supposed to call you, hey, fatty, every time she sees you, or hey, skinny, you need to eat.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. So setting the boundaries. I think actually, let me run it back because the two that I forgot that actually kill me are shame and guilt. People who try to guilt you into things and people who try to shame you into doing what they want and using those as tools. So like there's no room in my life for anyone trying to guilt me because I didn't do something or trying to shame me so that they can get their way.
Especially with the whole like this is what's supposed to happen. This is what has been done before you. Like you are breaking tradition or expectations. And that can weigh really heavy, especially if you're like first gen.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Let's see. What else do we have? We did career, friendship, family, relationship.
Oh.
What do you think? What would you... And I'm thinking romantic relationships, you would say. What would you have done differently?
Communicated my needs. I would not have left it up to interpretation or expected someone to know what I needed. I think I would have been more empowered to say, this is what I need from you, this is not what I'm not getting from you, and not just get upset when it's not happening.
I like that. Yeah. I would say for me, not waiting till, like, sometimes you just know this ain't it. And I think I wasted a lot of time either wanting to, like, maybe I'm being too harsh, maybe I need to give it a little more time. Like, I think I just had too much patience. It wasn't anything crazy, actually. It was just like incompatibility.
Yeah.
Literally, like the signs were clear from very early on, but I think I fell into the trap of, but on paper, it looks so great. It's got to be something I'm doing wrong because we're supposed to be compatible.
Were you someone who could be single, or did you always want to have someone?
I could be single, actually, for sure. I think it was hard for me to end a relationship, like that specific relationship. But after, like, I got over a relationship, I didn't have to jump into another one. I think I was too picky, actually. So that held me back quite a bit. But yeah, I think I wasted too much time on things that were very obviously not going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is, I'm going to drag myself here a little bit, is be nicer. I feel
to
like
your significant others?
Yeah. I feel like, especially particularly when I was dating, I felt like, you know, like you got to do all of these things so that, you know, you court me and whatnot. And so I feel like even if somebody did that, there were guys that I maybe wasn't interested in, but they were putting a good foot forward. Aww. And I was just like playing games.
It ain't enough.
It ain't enough. Or I was just like not being as responsive, or just not either not telling them that I was interested, or not reciprocating the energy and just leading it on though.
Yeah. Let me ask you, are there guys out there who are traumatized being in a relationship with you? Like, do they still talk about that one girl?
Not trauma, not within the relationship. I wasn't. I think my husband. I think my husband probably like 1-800-recovery. But no, I just think that it's like this stupid shit that you do in your 20s where you're like, oh, you guys are supposed to be chasing me and I'm gonna play hard to get. But even if someone comes genuine, I remember, oh God, I'm gonna air myself out. There was a guy, I used to have this book called Love Letters of Powerful Men. I'm paraphrasing, but basically it was about love letters that Napoleon and different generals and world leaders used to send to their women. And I loved it because you have these, you know, Winston Churchill simping, just like, girl, I wish I could see you. And I remember telling him about it, and tell me why this man wrote a handwritten letter, 2 pages, beautiful handwriting, and sent it in the mail. Because I talked about how much I loved love letters.
Okay, that's the sweetest thing.
Yes. And then I told him about a book I liked and he read it. I was just,
what?
Thank you,
Mona.
I know, but now I like regret. I look back and I'm like, I wish that I just cut it off and also said like, thank you, this was actually very sweet and you are very sweet. This is single air. This is single air.
No. You were in your 20s. You were young. Yeah. There are some things. There is a relationship I could have cut off. I should have cut off much, much sooner. And it was at his expense. Like, I didn't do it intentionally, but I'm like, girl, like, broke a heart to a really, really good guy that didn't deserve it.
Are there bitter people out there? Bitter
With
men
me?
that, yes.
There could be.
Yeah.
There could be. We're going to erase this whole episode.
Yeah, this ain't gonna air.
But you know what?
We have not repented enough. Sorry.
But I will say I didn't slash any tires. I didn't blow anything up. Right. I didn't, throw a match with the dramatic, car on fire behind me in slow-mo. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. But yes. Yeah. What about currently? In fact... Yeah, what about currently? I'm gonna kind of fall out of the theme a little bit.
Yeah.
Anything in your relationship that you want to do differently or that you've done differently?
I feel like this is I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I feel like this is the one thing that every man wants, and like we all could. I'll speak for myself. I could be better at is to show appreciation and to recognize when he's going out of his way to do stuff, and just make him feel appreciated.
Yeah. You said one thing that was really deep a few months ago. You said you speak, I think just in general, we tend to speak to our significant others the way we speak to ourselves, like our inner voices, right?
Yes.
So like, I'm very critical of myself, and I can be very critical of my significant other. And I think what attracts me to Robert is that he's really, really confident, and not in like in a good way. Like he's grounded, he's confident, all of that. And so I'm thinking, you know the stuff you're good at. Hey, let's work on this, and I can help you. Let me know how I can help you. Like, help me help you. And, and then I realized,
let me point out all the flaws since you got everything else covered.
Right.
Diabolical.
Right. Because I think he's an amazing guy. Like, I'm like, man, like I'm trying to get on your level. But let me give you objectively what I'm seeing from my perspective. But I say that to say, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't mention how incredible you are, like how much I look up to you and all of the things that you're great at and the things that you've taught me. Like I told you, he taught me how to apologize, and that apologizing isn't like a loss to you and a win for the other person. Like, and I'm like, why don't we say that? Remember one time you were like, does he do that with you? And I was like, yeah, no, he actually does all of that with me. Like words of affirmation, encourages me, all of that. And so it's just like, he's modeling to you what you, so I've gotten better at it, but I want to be even better to make sure that I'm like, I'm letting him know that he's doing a good job. And one of the things I don't subscribe to anymore that I heard for years is, I'm not going to compliment you on things that you're supposed to do. You don't get a cookie for whatever.
That's literally my issue. But I know that's wrong. But I also am like, what do you want, a cookie all the damn time? Like,
but it goes such a long way. Like I realize, for example, like when he goes and gets Bella at school because I'm tied up in a meeting, like you could argue that's your kid.
Yeah.
Like you go get, but it's like, no, like he's helping you.
I was like, yeah. Oh no,
exactly.
No, okay.
But like, or like, I don't know, like cleaning up after him. Like, hey, I appreciate, because I know, one, that doesn't happen in every, like, I hear the complaints that other women have, and I'm like, I don't have so many of those things. And it's like, man, I appreciate you for making it so easy to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, we went off on a tangent there. But.
No, it's important because it's like brain chemistry, and maybe when we're 40 we'll give each other advice about this part. But it's literally your brain chemistry, because to me, the way I explain it to him is, it's not that I'm not appreciative or not that I don't see the good things, but at that moment, my whole attention is what's missing.
Right.
Right. And we just moved into our new house, and like we haven't fully moved in because we were trying to remodel and stuff. And so every time we got here, it was our latest issue, was that I would be like, okay, this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed. And he's like, yo, I like called all the contractors. Everyone's coming. Like, things are happening, but you're still focused on what isn't done yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I am.
But that's how we are with that.
Yeah, but that's how literally with career, with life, everything, it's about what's not happening.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to drag us because when we're on the way here and you were talking about how like, oh, our conversations, like, we love a lot of self-improvement talk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah. Like literally everything is, how can we get better? Like I have gotten better at appreciating where I am right now. Like before, I was blind to the successes I was enjoying in the current moment. Now it's like I multitask. I enjoy my current successes and I obsess over what I could do better. But I'm just like, maybe like, let's not do that all the time. Always focus on how we can improve and all the things that we're doing wrong and how much better it can be. Like, because I'll straight up be like, this was amazing. Imagine it. Anyway, so that's for our 40s. Like, we'll revisit this in 10 years. There was one last one. Money and finances.
Yeah. Money and finances.
You go first, because you said you had a list.
A list. Big sis advice, save. And then when you're done saving, save some more.
And when you think you just saved enough,
save some more. Yes. And just because you saved does not mean you can spend. Like, save some more. I think you can never start too early, and I promise you the small amount that you do put away today can accumulate. And so
Yeah.
stop living in the present for like instant gratification. Save.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I would say a couple of things. Save, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but also be around people who have a similar mindset, because it's so easy to get, if you got a friend that goes crazy, like, let's just buy it, doesn't matter, like YOLO, this, that, and the other. I'm gonna be reckless with you. But it's good to have a friend that also has similar financial goals, where it's just like, listen, we don't have to buy everything in excess.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say the same goes for your partner. The stories I've heard of couples where one person is a saver, the other person's like, it's okay, I'll spend for you and
Reckless
me."
spender.
Yeah, like a reckless spender. And it truly, truly can derail like your life and the things that you're able to do. So I would say try to get real about finances before you tie the knot with someone, because they will truly predict how much progress you make when it comes to finances, and finances impact everything.
They impact everything. Fortunately. But I feel like you and Robert have a good balance. Like both of you guys are pretty much savers.
Yeah, I think to a fault, he saves a lot more than I do.
Which is very hard to believe that anyone can save more than you. You're pretty good at it.
I am, but I'm still buying things where it's just like, you didn't really need, you know what I mean? You didn't, like, I think I could, you know what it is? I'm death by 1,000 cuts, right? So like I buy a lot of little things that get me in trouble, like, you know, that I could do better at. And I justify it by saying, but I didn't get the designer bag. You know what I mean?
I got 50 Zara bags. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So but I'm very fortunate that Robert and I are on the, in fact, he just hit me up because our financial advisor was asking a question about something. So
the man you be dodging.
That's why he is blocked. So yeah, I would say that about finances. Yeah. And get educated early, which is so hard to do, especially if you don't come from a family that's familiarized with just, you know, investment and saving and all of that, but getting educated early. You recommended someone who's really good.
Ramit? I love following Ramit Sethi, and I would recommend him through and through. On his podcast, he goes through couples finances. Yeah. So particularly like if you're in a long-term relationship, it's great because you get to see, there was one woman on there who made like $300 a month and a man who made $50,000 a year, and the dynamics and just hearing that. But there's also just a lot of normal people. Yeah. And I think it shows you how gender roles play a role in your finances, how finances can cause a lot of trouble in your relationship. And so, yeah, it is a very important conversation to have right before. For me, Jordan's the saver. He's really good at it. But what I didn't want is someone who was cheap. Ooh. I don't do cheap. Oof. Because I like the finer things in life. Yeah. And I'm reasonable. Like I would never be the reckless partner, right? So I'm not gonna spend a crazy amount, even though I know we're buying a house, for example. Right. But I do think that with him, he knows how to pull back on certain things that he doesn't want to do and then spend on the things that we like to do. Right. But it was funny. One day I was like, you know what, I don't want to deprive myself. This man looked at me dead in the face and said, you never deprive yourself.
I still randomly laugh at that. That is hilarious.
And I was like, but there's that. No, I did get it. So,
read you for film.
Yes.
Yeah.
But being financially literate is so important. Yeah. Because if things don't work out, you never want to be the person who's like, I don't know who even pay the mortgage to. Right. Yeah. Right. The other piece of advice I would give is money matters. I used to just be whatever, like it's $20 here, like death by 1,000 cuts, kind of what you're talking about. And I realized even your paycheck, like if you need to file expenses, do it. Like go after your raises, negotiate every paycheck. Girl. Or negotiate every contract. Money matters and every dollar does matter. And it's not personal. A lot of people think it's like, oh, my boss is gonna hate me if I keep pushing for more money. It's like, no.
That if there's one thing I've learned, especially in the last year or so, like as a content creator, where you're negotiating deals with these brands who can pick any creator, right, that they would want to work with. Don't be afraid of a no. You know what I mean? Like negotiate, know your value, stick to that, and realize that it kind of sets a precedent. Like if you're negotiating with your boss, it has like ripple effects. If you take the low ball figure, it's so hard to get up to what you're supposed to be making.
You won't until you leave.
Exactly. So like just be and realize, like you said, it's not personal. And sometimes, you know, it's very cordial. Hey, I don't think I'm going to have to pass on this, you know, for whatever. And hopefully we can work together again. But I think we make it a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And also realize these folks got money.
These folks got
I was
money.
looking at their pockets like mine.
Yeah.
How can they afford? How can they afford this?
Poor,
then I realized,
poor Target. Let me give them a discount because they're going through some tough times.
Or even like, how's ABC going to be able to? Girl, please. Like they pay it for other people.
I had a coworker who legit would not, like if, mind you, we have certain money that they would expense. For example, like if you're out in the field, well, you get $70 for dinner.
Yeah.
Right? And she would make sure she spent 20 because she was trying to save the company money.
Oh, that's okay. That's
ma'am,
Yeah, no.
this is a Fortune 500 company. Like you do not need to be saving them $50.
Absolutely not. And surround yourself with people who know how to negotiate and ask for their worth and want to help you out. Because sometimes it takes seeing it to be like, oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
You know, there was one, I said this before, it was a white coworker, another anchor. He said, let me know if you need me to tell you how much you should be asking for.
Yes.
Because they're going to lowball you.
Yeah.
And I realized, I'm like, oh, they just talk to each other like they're peers. You know what I mean? Like I would go into my news director's office. Like,
please give them more money.
I just want you to know that I'm happy to be here. But surround yourself with people who tell you stand up.
Stand up.
Because
money did make me uncomfortable. I didn't like talking about it. Like it just felt like it was icky and I was like, I don't want to talk about money.
Right.
But then you realize you kind of have to talk about it.
Absolutely.
You are really good. Like if I asked Jeannette for advice on how much I should be charging or something, she'll send you the whole email and be like, this is how much I charge them. This is how much you should. This is like how much they have in the bank.
Yeah.
Like, you will give me every piece of information that I need.
I don't play about that. It's like, girl, get your money. This is how much, if they're going to respond this way, this is what you should say. Yeah. I'm really big on like, I don't think people should have to reinvent the wheel, right? Like I don't believe in gatekeeping, especially when it comes to money. And you would do the same for me. And you have done the same for me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah. It was funny though, one time a coworker of mine was like, let's just exchange salaries. And I love that because yes, let's.
Oh, so you were down for it?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I'm like, yes. And if somebody asked me, like if they were going for a position that I was going for, immediately I would tell you how much I make because that's where you should start. Or if you're making more, then I want to know too, right? I told this man, he was actually white man, and he was making less. And I was like,
ooh. Like are you sure you want me to tell you?
I don't know if I should be proud of myself. The most surprising thing, because Lord, if it was the opposite and he told me he was making more, the way I would have just like kicked down doors, the way he was just like, yeah, but you know, they're like, things have changed. Goes back to when you were talking about, do you know your worth? Yes, ma'am. Girl. I would have kicked down doors and been like, where's my 20 grand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonight or I quit.
Absolutely. I don't know if I don't know if we're going to have to edit this out, but remember, there was one brand I got to see.
No, you have to share.
Do I have to share this? Okay.
Yes. Okay, so wait, let me preface this with, Jeannette has this weird ability where people send her information and emails that she should not receive. Like, there have been numerous times where brands have sent her internal emails talking about her, and she'll be like, yo, look what I just got.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how they keep messing up. But
yeah. No, there was one time I saw what everybody else was making. There was a number of people on the same campaign. And I'll say it was a campaign that we turned down multiple times because the budget, what they were offering was not aligning with what we wanted. And it was the kind of thing where I was like, God, I really want to work with them. But I'm going to hate myself afterward if I take this thing and it's below what I'm supposed to be making. Eventually, we settled on a good offer. And then I saw what everybody else took. All of them took the first offer.
Isn't that crazy?
All of them except for 2. And mostly white. But I say that to say it was kind of like your situation where it's like, it's nice to be, the person of color where it's just like, nah, I stood my ground and I was willing to say no. And ultimately we came to a fair deal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's crazy. It was so reassuring too. Like it was just like, this is why you say no, because they got the money. And they're banking on, they're hoping that you say yes. save
Mm-hmm.
themselves a couple dollars. You know what I mean? So anyway, any
last one I would
last,
say,
oh, okay.
I told this piece of advice to a girlfriend of mine years ago, just offhanded. Until this day, she keeps coming up to me and is like, remember when you told me? And has made great decisions in her life. But I said that you should always make more money each contract.
Oh, yeah.
So like never sign a contract where you're getting paid the same amount
Yep.
that you were getting paid before each, because that is the only negotiation
Right.
window that you have.
That's the leverage.
That's the only leverage that you have, is to have a backup option. It may not even be like Philly, like you wanted some kind of leverage. So maybe the piece of advice is just always have leverage, but you always ask for more.
Yeah.
And if they say no, then bounce.
Right.
Because you're never gonna make
Right.
more. If they say no the first time, promise you're gonna be stuck.
Right. Ask for more. Do your research and ask for more so you can ground it in, like, hey, I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like your number has some research behind it. You know that you're
Mhm.
worth this much. You know how much you bring to the company, that type of thing. I was going to say something else. If you can, if you're able to, don't be afraid to move around. Because moving
Yes.
from one job to the next can really up how much more money you can make. So like from what was it? From DC to Philly, doubled my salary.
Mhm.
You know, while I was in Philly, doubled my salary. Like those, but it was the leverage that I had to say, well, I'm just go back to DC to my husband.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was real.
Mhm.
So yeah, you make a great point. Like those points are where you have the most leverage.
Yeah. And that's how they see you.
And that's how they see you.
Because otherwise, I mean, it's
Can
so, yeah.
real quick, can I say something? There was one, it was another Black woman at one of my stations, like super supportive. This is what you should be doing, asking for that type of thing. The GM once said, I respect her because she's a hard negotiator. Like they appreciate it.
1000%.
Like, oh, okay.
If you're willing to walk away, all of a sudden you become the most delicious
Right?
cookie in the cookie jar, and they have to have you. And I
Yeah.
always found that surprising, because the thing is, you want to be desirable. You want
Yeah.
them to want you right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then that's it. They're not going to get the promotions. You're not going to get the other opportunities, because you're just Jeannette. You're
Right.
just Mona here. But if they feel like they got you from someone else,
Right.
if they feel like you're the catch, then shoot.
And the catch isn't like, I'll just take, whatever you can afford, let me
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes a big deal.
It is.
All right. Is there anything, gosh, I'm trying to think, any kind of final notes as a wrap up?
I will say that,
Yeah.
yeah, like just in your 20s, you're not supposed to have it all figured out. And the crazy part is, it's the trenches. And the 30s are so much better.
20s are so ghetto.
They're so ghetto and rough. They're fun.
Yeah.
And that's why all of a sudden, I feel like people on their 29th birthday have a panic attack, because they're like, I should be having this all figured out. I should, be where I'm supposed to be. But they don't realize that, like, you're only 31 the next year, right? And then things really start happening. And I feel like in your 30s, you cuter, you make more money, and
you have a better
more
sense of who you are.
yes.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. I want to say quickly something we discussed in the car about one of my bigger regrets in my 20s, and it's still not too late to do it, is to don't shy away from the things that make you uncomfortable. Like learn things, you look awkward, you look cringe, but you're learning a new skill. I mostly did the things I was naturally good at. If I wasn't naturally good at it, it was just like, this is God telling me this isn't my ministry. Girl, move on to something else. And I wish I had done that, because I would have picked up so many different, passions or skills. It just makes you more interesting. People who just do the most random things, like they're spontaneous, they put themselves out there, they get out of their comfort zone. And I think it adds so much texture and color to who you are as a person, and helps you better connect with other people.
Yeah, you just opened the floodgates, because you're so right. I think the issue is people don't want to look like they're struggling. Like they don't want to look like they're trying. And I hate the word cringe, because you should be cringe.
Yeah.
Like if you are trying something new and you are taking the risks that you're supposed to take, it's going to be a little cringy. And I remember when I first started news, like my voice was not what it is now. I was, nervous on camera. There was just so much work that comes with time and repetition. But I wasn't afraid for people to see me trying. Like I would post the clips, and
Right.
and it was weird, because I think the issue is that people know that when you are trying, everyone is probably making fun of you. And
Right.
that is okay.
Right.
Because I promise you those same people come back around. And I remember the hard shift, like as I was moving up in my career, once it was like, oh, okay, you're doing something that's actually, you know, you're good at it, and there's prestige, or, you know, you're at a platform with a big name, then all of a sudden everyone's proud of you.
Oh, yeah.
Then everyone is like, oh my God, I knew you were gonna be doing this. You were always great. No, I wasn't. I had like 20 likes on
Why are you
my first
lying?
story. But did I care?
Yeah.
No.
It takes being cringe. It takes looking like you're trying because you are, you know? And your 30s, I say 20s are for putting in the work, sowing. Your 20s are for that. Your 30s are for reaping all of those benefits. And it's so much sweeter when you have, when you're able to reap something, right, valuable from your 20s. So let it be your cringe decade.
Let it.
And then your 30s, you're killing it. You look fly, you know what I mean? And you're enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Your knees are still working, kind of.
Hopefully.
Sometimes my bones be sounding like
I just have to hold on
dice
to
being rolled. There's like click, click, click.
Right.
But yeah, you still I feel like I'm cuter in my 30s and my 20s.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Like style better.
I think I'm cuter, styling better, but the confidence
is way better. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Talking about all the things that we do have and not what we need to work on.
I know,
I love
right?
it. The growth that's happened so far. Thank you guys so much. Of course, you guys can follow us on IG, Off the Record Podcast and then YouTube at Off the Record. Make sure you subscribe.
And let us know, by the way, if you're in your 30s, what's something that you would have done differently in your 20s. We love to hear it. 30s or 40s even. And thanks so much for listening in and watching. We'll see you on the next episode.